In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the arithmetic sequence. Here you can see the formula for the arithmetic sequence, and unfortunately this formula is not going to be available for you on a formula sheet for this course. So this will be the first formula that you will have to commit to memory. But I think with the more practice that you have with it, the better off you will be. Let me go ahead and explain the formula. The first part of the formula is called a sub n, and we say sub because the letter is below, the letter n is below the a, just like a submarine is below the water. What this is it's the nth term that you're looking for in a sequence. So if we have a sequence of numbers and you're looking for the 100th term, this would be a sub 100. The next term is a sub 1. This is going to be the first term that's given in your sequence. For example, if you're given a sequence of 2, 4, 6, 8, the first term in that sequence is 2, and therefore that would be your a sub 1. Now, this is really where the arithmetic sequence comes into play. Let's look at the D here. The D means the common difference. This is what makes this an arithmetic sequence. This number is basically found by a numerical pattern that increases or decreases at a constant rate or value called the common difference. So if you have an arithmetic sequence, that means you have a sequence that is increasing or decreasing at a constant rate. For example, you can see my examples below. I have the sequence 2, 5, 8, and 11. And you can see that they're all those four numbers are increasing at a rate of positive 3. And the dot, dot, dot at the very end of the sequence means that it's going to continue at that same rate. Therefore, the common difference is going to be 3 in this example. The second example, 6, 0, negative 6, 12, you can see that it is decreasing. And it's decreasing by 6. Therefore, your common difference is going to be a negative number, negative 6. Okay, let's go back up to the formula now. Now we're in the parentheses, n minus 1. We already kind of talked about the n in the very beginning. It is the nth term in the sequence. So if you're looking for that 100th term, that n is going to be a 100, and then minus 1. Okay, now that we kind of have an idea of the formula, let's go ahead and apply it. Okay, I'm not worried about memorizing the formula right now. I do have it up at the top so that we can use it. So let's go ahead and determine the nth term in the given sequences. Let's start with the first one. I have 5, 9, 13, and 17. You can see that these are all of these numbers are increasing by 4. So therefore, my common difference, that's going to be 9. Not 9, I'm sorry. I was looking at the 9 when I said it. It's 4. So the common difference is 4. We're going to need that. Now let's go ahead and apply the formula. We're looking for the 5th term in the sequence. And you might be wondering, well, why am I looking for the 5th term? Because we know that if we add 4 to 17, that's going to give us 21. Well, you're exactly right. But I did this example so that you could see that it works every time. So let's go ahead and plug it into the formula to show you that that 5th term is 21. I'm going to type in a sub 5 because I'm looking for the 5th term. Then let's go ahead and plug in our a sub 1. The first term in our sequence is 5, so I'm going to write down 5 plus our common difference of 4 times my n, which is the 5th term, minus 1. And now I'm just going to go ahead and, using order of operations here, I'm just going to go ahead and simplify this down. So you can see that indeed my a sub 5, or my 5th term in my sequence, is going to be 21, which we said that it was going to be in the beginning. Now, rarely are you going to be given a problem where you're asked for the 5th term. It's going to be more like the second question, where you're asked for something like the 48th term. So let's go ahead and look at this. Okay. We have the sequence 2, negative 5, negative 12, and negative 19. Now, we need a common difference here, and it looks like our common difference is going to be a negative number, and it's going to be negative 7. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that off to the side. Now let's set up our formula. So we have a sub 48, because I'm looking for the 48th term, equals the first number in my sequence is 2, plus my common difference. Now, notice how I have a plus and then a minus. We never, ever, ever write this like I have here. So what I would like you to do is fix that to write what we normally write. We're just going to write -7 because adding a negative is really subtracting. So go ahead and write -7 times 48 minus 1. Alrighty, let's go ahead and simplify. 2 minus 7 and then times 47. So I have 2 minus 329, which equals -327. Therefore, the 48th term in this sequence is going to be -327. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to count those out by hand, or I don't really want to do that, so I want to use my formula to figure that out. But that's how you do it. Okay, let's try something else now. Now I have a different question for you. The question states, determine the equation of the nth term. Now, instead of looking for a specific term, although we are going to do that in this type of problem, we want to figure out the equation, and I will explain what that equation does in just a moment. But let's go ahead and figure this out. When you're looking for an equation, you always want to leave your a sub n, that first part of your formula, as such. You always want to leave the n's in place. Everything else, you can go ahead and just write as normal. So you can see here that my first term in my sequence is going to be -8. So I'm going to write that down. My common difference, it looks like, is going to be 9. So I'm going to add 9. Oops. Let me write that better. Add 9 to both. There we go. And then n minus 1. Now you can see that this looks a little different than before because I have n's, which is perfectly fine. Now let's simplify using the distributive property. -8 plus 9n minus 9. Now you can see here that I'm not quite done because I'm not quite simplified. So that's going to be 9n minus 17. So a sub n is equal to 9n minus 17. This right here is the equation of the nth term. Now let me explain how it works. With this equation, you can determine any term in the sequence. The question that I'm being asked below is, using that equation above, determine the 25th term. So let's go ahead and use it. A sub 25 equals 9 times 25 minus 17. So 9 times 25, that's going to give us 225, and we're going to subtract 17 to give us 208. So the 25th term in the sequence above is going to be 208, and I use that formula. Now, if I wanted to continue on, I could also find a sub 100. I could find a sub 50. I could even find a sub 1000 if I wanted to, using that equation that we created above. So it's kind of cool. Let's try one more of those. All right, this is the last one here. Okay, this time we have a common difference that is decreasing. So that's all it's going to do is change our common difference here. So we want an equation. So that means we're going to leave our a sub n in the formula. My a sub 1 is going to be -4. My common difference is going to be -3. So I'm going to write -3. I'm not going to write plus -3. That doesn't make sense. Then n minus 1. So let's go and determine our equation here. -4. I'm going to distribute -3 in there, so -3n, and I'm going to say plus 3. That gives me -3n minus 1. So my a sub n, which is my equation of my nth term, is going to be -3n minus 1. Now I'm going to use that equation to figure out the 50th term in the sequence. So a sub 50 equals -3 times that number that I'm looking for -1. Alrighty, so -150 minus 1. Therefore, the 50th term in this sequence is going to be -151. So there's two things you can do here. You can actually solve for the specific term in the sequence that you're looking for, or you can find the equation of the sequence, and then you can determine any of the numbers very quickly using that equation. So those are the two pieces that we did today. Alrighty, that brings us to the end of our lesson on arithmetic sequences.